We're coming off the back of the biggest wrestling return in modern history as CM Punk is officially all elite. And you know what that means? It's not just clobbering time, but it's also time for another WrestlePlanet news update as we look at the match results from AEW Rampage, The First Dance. We take a close look at CM Punk's AEW debut, and we have more details on his AEW arrival. All that and more coming up in today's video, but first, before we get to the main course, let's quickly run through what happened elsewhere on tonight's AEW Rampage The First Dance special. The first match on the card saw the Jurassic Express take on Private Party in the Tag Team Championship Eliminator Tournament semi-finals. In the end, Jurassic Express advanced to the final and will take on either the Varsity Blondes or the Lucha Brothers for the chance to face the Young Bucks for the AEW tag titles at All Out. Their opponents in the finals will be decided this Wednesday on Dynamite. After this, Jade Cargill took on AEW TV debutant Kiera Hogan in a short match, which saw Cargill put Hogan away in quick fashion. Clearly this was due to the time constraints with the CM Punk debut and with the show being just 1 hour long. As for the main event, Jon Moxley was accompanied by Eddie Kingston for his match against Daniel Garcia, who himself was joined by 2.0. This was a solid match and ended by submission after Moxley locked in a bulldog choke on Garcia, who then tapped out. After the match, 2.0 jumped in the ring and started swinging before Kingston's save was quickly stopped. Sting and Darby Allin then hit the ring to help out the babyfaces, with Moxley hitting a paradigm shift onto Garcia, followed by a Scorpion Deathlock from Sting and a coffin drop from Darby on the two remaining members of 2.0. This then led to a post-show promo from Darby, but we'll be getting to that a little bit later on. Now let's get to how the show opened as CM Punk made his debut in All Elite Wrestling in front of his hometown Chicago crowd, receiving nothing short of a hero's welcome. The show started with the camera panning around the audience before Cult of Personality hit. He dropped to his knees as tears rolled down his face. As you could see, he was just taking in the moment, and what a moment it was. Punk then walked to the ring, but not before jumping in the crowd on the way, and then he grabbed a microphone to address his adoring fans, telling Chicago, "You guys really know how to make a kid feel like Britt Baker in Pittsburgh." I didn't plan on what I was going to say because I didn't know what to say, because I didn't know how I was going to feel. But I knew I needed to feel it, and I feel you, Chicago, and I hear you, Chicago. The crowd then continued to chant CM Punk, with Punk telling them that he's heard them for 7 years and now he's back. Punk went on to say something that he described as the most important thing that he had to say, referencing his absence from pro wrestling and perhaps referencing his failed MMA career, and said, "If at all through my journey any of my personal choices or decisions relating to my life made you feel disappointed or let down, let me say, I understand. If you all try to understand that I was never going to get healthy physically, mentally, spiritually or emotionally staying in the same place that got me sick in the first place," this being a reference to pro wrestling. He then asked if he could tell the crowd a story before sitting in the middle of the ring with his legs crossed. He then spoke of his Ring of Honor exit at Punk The Final Chapter, where he walked to the ring crying to say his goodbyes to ROH before his move to WWE, and he continued, "You see, I felt before like I had to leave. I didn't want to, but I knew I couldn't stay, and that was when I worked for a place called Ring of Honor. August 13th, 2005 was my last match in Ring of Honor, and I famously came out with tears in my eyes. And walking out here today, I now know why I was crying. It was a lot of reasons, but what it boiled down to was I had made a place where people could come work, get paid, learn their craft, and love professional wrestling. I cried because I knew I was leaving a place that I love, and it was a home, and I knew where I was going. It wasn't going to be easy for a guy like me. So I look at it like this. August 13th, 2005, I left professional wrestling. August 20th, 2021, I'm back." Clearly this is a reference to WWE not being professional wrestling and in fact being sports entertainment. Punk went on to praise the AEW locker room, explaining that he came back to work with young, hungry talent that he wishes he was surrounded by 10 years ago. He then said that they're here now, so why isn't he? He then added, I'm back because I want to work with that young talent that has the same passion I had stamped out. I'm back because there's a couple of scores to settle. He then made a direct challenge to Darby Allin, who was high up in the rafters with his mentor Sting. He praised Darby's fight and his determination to always come back no matter what was thrown at him, and then he told Darby that he may like danger, but there is nothing more dangerous than wrestling CM Punk, except wrestling CM Punk in Chicago. The match between Punk and Darby was then made official for the upcoming AEW All Out pay-per-view, which is scheduled for September 5th. He also specifically told Sting that he'll see him there too. Punk ended by telling Chicago that the ice cream bars are on him before AEW revealed the brand new CM Punk ice cream bars. This is a nice touch and is a reference to one of the demands that Punk joked about during his Summer of Punk 2011 contract negotiations on WWE television. We never got the bars back then, just a t-shirt with an ice cream on it. Also, as a side note, Punk was wearing the same badge that he wore at the recent CFFC MMA event that he commentated on, which I pointed out as a tease for tonight's show, and I love it when a plan comes together. WrestlePlanet clickbait fake news. Now honestly, that was one of the most emotional and historic returns in wrestling history, and you could just see Punk was taking in the reaction from the crowd. It seems, hopefully, that the fire burns once again, and I absolutely can't wait to see where this goes from here. This past few weeks have just been crazy, and it still doesn't feel real. Also, after the show went off the air, Darby Allin addressed CM Punk's challenge and said, "This company changed my life, and after All Out, everybody will know my name, CM Punk. It will be an honor." Well, Darby wanted the best in the world, and tonight he got his wish, but be careful what you wish for. And finally, we have more on the AEW debut of CM Punk, who has been officially announced to be making his first ever Dynamite appearance this coming Wednesday. Punk also mimicked Michael Jordan's return to the Chicago Bulls in 1995 after his short stint in baseball, after he posted a statement to Twitter that read, "Chicago, Illinois, August 20th, 2021. The following statement was released today by CM Punk through AEW President and GM Tony Khan of All Elite Wrestling in response to questions about his future career plans. "I'm back." This is of course a reference to the famous "I'm back" statement Jordan made upon his return in 1995. We also have an update from Fightful, who first broke the news on talks between AEW and CM Punk last month. They have now revealed that talks between the two parties started way before the initial report and began in June at the latest. Warner Media, the parent company of TNT, are also said to have been aware of the "I'm back" press release at least a week ago, with those in Warner Media said to be excited by the Chicago Bulls tie-ins. The report from Fightful also states that Punk was offered a multi-year deal, with Punk's side being open to accepting it. It's not entirely clear how long the deal is or how many dates it will entail, but it sounds like he's down for at least 2 more years in wrestling. As well as the ice cream bars we discussed earlier, AEW have also released the t-shirt Punk was wearing, and you can buy it now if you're lucky enough to get on the site, as it was crashed last time I tried. There is also a sticker and a flag available too. And to close, what a day this has been, as the channel not only hit 20,000 subscribers, which is far beyond all my expectations, but CM Punk is back in wrestling. I'll have an update video tomorrow at some point with any further news that breaks, as Tony Khan and CM Punk are currently in a press conference. But for now, I should probably get some sleep, and that's if the excitement can calm down. And before you go, make sure you check out my video where I discuss the secret wrestling returns of CM Punk during his so-called retirement.